Hello everyone, it is Joe here from Omnipoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon, and it's time for another Rising Guardians deck analysis. This time it's going to be Ninetales-GX, an archetype that's really grown on me as I've tested it more. I think this does have real potential in the format, and I'm pretty happy with my build so far. It's pretty consistent, and it's a really unique deck in that it's got a similar playstyle to Mega Mewtwo, I found, but it's pretty invulnerable to things like item lock, and that's a really appealing thing going forward because Decidueye will remain a top tier contender, and potentially so will Trevenant Plume as well. So I think this deck has a handful of good matchups, and it looks like a good contender going into the new set. So, first of all, we are going to be playing 4 of the Alolan Vulpix. This is one reason why the deck is pretty nice and isn't too scared about item lock. It has an attack cost for free, as most of the Alolan Pokemon do, which allows us to search the deck for 2 Pokemon and put them straight into our hand. This is going to be really helpful. Sometimes we can grab things like Tapu Lele if our hand isn't that strong. We can grab other Vulpix and Ninetales pieces for future turns, and we also play Octillery in here, so we can grab our Remoraids or Octillery pieces for the second turn and get evolving, which is really nice. So this means that we can set up quite contently. We can start powering up Vulpixes on the bench while still having a useful attack on turn 1. So this guy, very nice, 60 HP water type, but that is a really nice bonus for the deck and really helps out against some of these item lock decks because we can still get set up quite comfortably. From there, we are going to be playing 3 Ninetales-GX. I think we only need 3 really. We're going to have search via Vulpix, we have search via Dive and Ultra Ball, and we have 3 physical copies, so I'm pretty content that you can get into this guy consistently. It's a 210 HP water type GX with a single retreat cost, which is worth noting because it's not too chunky, and it has 3 really good attacks. The first is Ice Blade, I think it's called, yeah, and it does a 50 snipe to one of your opponent's Pokemon. It could even be the active if you choose to. Bear that in mind because it does set up good numbers for its second attack, Blizzard Edge, which does 160 for 2 water and a Colourless, and you discard 2 energy attached to Ninetales. We are playing DC in the deck, of course, to make Ice Blade work and the GX attack, so you can simply discard the DCE from the Ninetales to pay the 2 energy discard cost, so bear that in mind. Also, of course, we have Aqua Patch to re-attach to Ninetales if need be. So yeah, doing 50 into 160 is great numbers. Even just having 160 with a choice band goes up to 190 to 1-hit KO normal EX Pokemon. And we even have Professor Kukui in here to hit up to 210 with this deck, so that we can respond on Ninetales, we can 1-hit KO things like Mega Gardevoir, so this is going to be pretty nice for us. It's a really powerful attacker, to be honest, and very strong. And then its GX attack is also a huge selling point for Ninetales. It allows us to move all damage counters from ourselves onto our opponent's active Pokemon, so it fully heals the Ninetales and also dishes out a lot of damage potentially to the opponent. So Ninetales is a very difficult Pokemon to play around, similar to when Mewtwo has damage change with Shrine of Memories. This time it's even better because even if we've already hit our opponent's active, we can finish them off by healing ourselves at the same time. So this GX attack is always live, it's always going to be helpful for you, and some decks simply can't play around it. It's really strong. It's great against things like Decidueye because they pretty much, like, they have to keep attacking this. And they have to start sniping. The snipings are much less relevant on the bench because we have Rough Seas anyway. So in my testing, this has had a really good Decidueye matchup, just because you can Ice Path, you can snipe the bench on their damaged Decidueyes if they're trying to retreat and hide. You can do all sorts, so Ninetales is really strong. The GX attack is difficult to play around because it has such high HP, and it's one of the reasons why we're playing the Octillery engine, because Octillery is just a non-EX, so if they KO it, they're not really affecting the prize race. So I'm playing Octillery over Shaman Engine in here because we want to make Ice Path work, and simply giving opponents the chance to Lysandre KO Shamans and keep up with prize race is annoying. So yeah, that's a little insight into the list. But yeah, Ninetales is a crazy good attacker. I think this card is really good. Next up, as I've mentioned a few times, we are playing a 2-2 line of Octillery, choosing to use the Remoraid that switches itself straight to the bench just to keep an eye on energy, but bear in mind you can also choose to pay retreat regardless because it makes Aqua Patch live, so you have the option for both really. The attack is rarely ever relevant. The 2-2 line of Octillery is just great in here, I found. Because this deck discards energy for its main attack, we always have to be cycling for more cards to finish out the game. We always need to pretty much have like Energy Lysandre to end the game. So being able to Octillery ourselves back up to 5 at all times is going to be really handy to us. Garbodor's not huge in the format other than the Tauros Garb list, and even then we have Field Blower to get rid of their items on Garbodor, so Octillery gets a lot of value in the new format, and I think he fits in here perfectly because we also have Search from Vulpix and we're already playing Dive Ball. It's very easy to get Octillery out from like turn 2, so it's really, really nice in here. Next up we're playing the 2 Tapu Lele-s. Lele is still finding its way in the deck because it's not an easy 2-prize target. It's still difficult to get over. Of course it is a Lysandre approach, but sometimes they have to 2-shot through this guy anyway, so it's not too bad. It's in here obviously for its Wonder Tag ability, helping us get into some of our one-off supporters and just in general being consistent and nice. Again, we are playing heavy DC in the deck. We're playing 4, so Tapu Lele is also a decent attacking option. He can set things up again for the Ninetales 160 attack, so he is also something to bear in mind if you've got nothing else to do. Our final Pokemon is going to be Sudowoodo. Playing Sudowoodo just because I'm kind of worried about Rayquaza still. It's really until I figure out how impactful Rayquaza will be that I stop playing Sudowoodo. Obviously, the new Garbodor is like really good against Rayquaza, but other than that, I think Ray has a lot of good matchups. So right now, I'm playing Sudowoodo out of fear for that deck. This could be cut in future. This is like my tech option right now because this is a tanking deck, and if we can't tank, we lose against things like Rayquaza. So right now, it makes sense to play Sudowoodo, but if it starts going down in play, this is probably a flexible slot for maybe even the new Tapu Koko that could be really good as a free retreater, and it helps snipe, which goes beneficially with Ninetales. So right now, this is the flexi slot in the deck if you want to explore things. Right now, I'm just covering Rayquaza because I think at the start of the new format, the old archetypes will still see play. So I think countering Ray is still worthwhile right now for a deck that has good matchups against everything that can't one-hit KO it, really. Onto the items, we're playing 1 Rescue Stretcher. Great for picking up Ninetales, Octillery, anything that's got knocked out in the early turns. Typically, I use this for the 1 Pokemon effect, but just in case you've had awkward discards and stuff, you have it in there for the recovery aspect also. So again, really nice 1-of. Potentially could go up to 2-of because I love this card so much. 1 Field Blower. It's going to help get rid of stadiums from the opponent as well as choice bands, float stones. Just a versatile card in general. It also, of course, gets float stones off Garbodor, so our Octillery works. So it makes a lot of sense to be in the deck. We are playing 2 Dive Ball. Just going to help us find multiple Vulpix, find our Remoraids in the early turns, as well as just get into our stage 1 lines as well, supplementing the 4 Ultra Ball that we are also playing. I've tried a 3-3 split of the ball cards, but I've preferred just the 4 Ultra because it's a nice activator for Aqua Patch, and it's also going to help find Lele, which is like the most important card in the early turns of any deck right now. From there, we are playing 4 of the new Aqua Patch. This is one of the main reasons why Ninetales has so much potential. This card allows us to attach a water energy from our discard pile to one of our benched water Pokemon. Very, very strong effect. It means that the discard of energy is less painful, and it means that we can get into these 3 energy attack costs that much quicker. So yeah, Aqua Patch really helps smooth out the deck and make sure that we have plenty of attackers despite us discarding energy along the way for our own damage. 4 VS Seeker, pretty standard, no real questions why that's in the deck. 2 Choice Band. Choice Band is a great math fixer. Like I said, it means we can go up to 210 with Kukui, 190 to just 1-hit stuff, regular EXs, things like Tapu Lele and such. It even means that our Ice Blade, just for a DCE, goes up to 80 if we choose to hit the active. So Choice Band, really good all round, just helps numbers greatly. 2 Float Stones. Sudowoodo has a 2 retreat cost, as does Octillery. So it's nice to have a pivot in those circumstances. And most importantly, because of Aqua Patch, it's great to have a pivot between our turns. Because we can just throw something else into the active so that we can Aqua Patch loads to the bench and charge up a Ninetales out of nowhere. So 2 Floatstone makes a lot of sense in here. 1 Hex Maniac. You'd think that this would have a pretty good Volcanion, but we still need to have Hex on certain turns so that we can tank hits with the Ninetales and dish them back out. 1-hit KOing them, of course, with weakness, but making sure that we can survive hits, because otherwise they can steam up a bunch and respond KO. And it's harder for us to maintain attackers because we need to hit things like DCE double patch on certain turns. So the Hex is going to be nice in that regard. It also, of course, frees us from item lock. which is, again, something that's pretty important. We're not too horrible against item lock, again, because we have things like Vulpix and such. And when we actually get into the Ninetales, it's hard for things to one-hit us, and it all goes well for us. But Hex in the early turns is still going to be nice for a bunch of different reasons. Professor Kukui, I've mentioned a lot just for the addition of numbers to put us into ranges of things for one-hit KOs, so he is a very important one count. Another one count we are playing is actually Brigette. I think a lot of the time you'll see Pokemon Fan Club in lists. In this list specifically, because we're not playing Shaman, I think it's better to just get Brigette and get multiple Vulpix and a Remoraid down, because it really does just set you up for the entire game off of one Tapu Lele. So the one-off Brigette is a really cool option in here. We can instantly drop down a bunch of Vulpix and have the board set up for us ready to go. And from there, Octillery will draw us cards for the rest of the game, basically. 2 Lysandre, standard stuff. Even with sniping, it's worth having the 2 copies. 3 N, again, standard numbers, as well as just 3 Professor Sycamore. I think with the 2 Lele, it's fine just to have 3, and especially because we have Octillery to draw us cards throughout every single turn. I've not been punished too much for just only having 3 Sycamore, 3 N. I added the Brigette basically for the 4th Sycamore because this is much better turn 1 if we can Lele into it, so just an excellent card, and we have the backup draw engine of Octillery throughout, so it's not too punishing to only have 3 Sycamore. 3 Rough Seas is the stadium of choice. You could consider Brooklet Hill, but right now I think that Trevenant is going to be experimented with. Trevenant Break as well, of course. Being able to completely deny a Trevenant Break attack is hilarious, and also helping out against Decidueye is going to be really important, making it so it's useless for them to snipe the bench, as well as put damage on the active, because we can just GX attack to heal our Ninetales. It really does checkmate them at times. Rough Seas is really good for that. And with 210 HP, we can push ourselves out of range sometimes as well, so just in general, this card is going to be really helpful. For energy, we are playing 4 double Colourless, because it's great for the GX attack, it's great for Ice Blade, great for retreating even things like Octillery if we're under item locks, and great for attacking with Tapu Lele as well. All round very, very helpful. And then we are playing a full 8 Water Energy. It's a large count, but we want to be able to access them early, to discard with Ultra Balls. We got to keep attaching every single turn with this card, because we naturally discard so much with ourselves. So it's really important to always have a manual attachment on top of whatever else we do for the turn. So the 8 count, I think, is necessary, even with 4 DCE. So, whole bunch of energy. Hopefully it just means that we can spam Aqua Patch, helps us out against the energy denial decks that little bit more as well, because we have more physical copies of energy. So yeah, that is going to be the list, guys. I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think about Ninetales. I think it has a bunch of good matchups, and I actually think this is potentially a top tier contender, because so far in testing it's been doing well for me, and I think I've undervalued how powerful Ninetales potentially is. So let me know what you think, guys. Please leave a like to the video if you did. Again, apologies for having to use the crappy webcam, and if it was blurry at any times, I do apologise. We'll be back on PTCGO at the end of this week, so hopefully you'll be seeing lots more Guardians Rising content. Subscribe to the channel if you've not already, and I'll be seeing you guys next time. Cheers.